Before going down in Week 14 with an abdominal injury, Calvin Ridley was averaging 13.7 yards per reception, had 7 targets a game, and was torching corners left and right. While often overshadowed by receiving mate Julio Jones, Ridley is quietly developing into a premier talent at receiver. He has incredibly polished routes, good burst and open field speed, long strides that help him eat up ground, and when defenses focus on Julio, he can make them pay. He can struggle with physical corners and press man at times, but if you give him space or a clean release, he's insanely tough to guard in the open field. He has great speed cuts, can snap off routes, and attacks the ball in the air. The Falcons might feel like the forgotten team in the NFC South with the arrival of Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, but if you sleep on Calvin Ridley, you're going to get burned. Ridley's speed allows everything to work. He looks incredibly fast on film. His speed allows him to threaten deep and then snap off routes, speed cut, and create separation on comebacks, curls, and digs. The threat of the big play is powerful in any offense, and the Falcons have that in Calvin Ridley. Ridley's speed cuts are out of this world. As we saw, he has the speed to threaten defensive backs deep and make them turn their hips. He can then combine this with rolling into his cuts on deep digs or outs. The speed cut allows him to maintain speed and get to his landmark while the defensive back has to plant and change direction. It creates a ton of separation and opens up big windows for Matt Ryan to throw to. The physical tools pop out on film, but what's really impressive is his route technique. He shows excellent understanding of how to manipulate defenders, get them to turn their hips, and create separation for himself using not only his athleticism, but his mind and game sense as well. His most effective technique is to stem defenders the opposite way of his intended route. They have to respect his speed and turn their hips to run with him. As soon as they do, Ridley plants and shows great burst and explosion back the other way. It sounds simple, but takes good athleticism, an understanding of the coverage, and shows he has a plan of attack every time he steps up to the line of scrimmage. Attacking the leverage of the defender is a powerful tool. The shade of the corner indicates the area that they don't want you to be able to access. So if they're shading with inside leverage or they're lined up directly in front of the receiver, they likely want to protect their inside space. So as a receiver, if you threaten that inside space and give them a move to the inside, they're going to jump to protect it. Ridley consistently does this and with impressive effectiveness. He stems inside like he's running a slant, forcing the corner to attack, and then he releases outside and is wide open down the sideline. Here, he stems to the outside to make the corner turn his hips to the sideline before breaking back inside to the slant. These kind of examples are everywhere. Whether the defensive back is in press or not, he threatens their leverage and then attacks the space that they vacate. Here, again, he does a really good job of widening his stem outside away from where he's going to break. He uses good eye discipline and locks in like he's running a seam or a deep corner to the side of the rollout. The safety reads that, sees the rollout, and when he starts to move over, Ridley plants to go to a post to the area the safety just vacated. From the slot, he'll push his stem away from his route side space and create separation for himself, as you can see here. The defender moves in with him before Ridley releases back outside and works to stack on top of the defender. If you can stack directly on top of the defender with the defensive back in a trail position, you have a ton of power as a receiver. The corner doesn't know which way you're going, can't get hands on you, and you have leverage for any ball over the top. Here's another example of Ridley working a side hop to widen the defensive back and create space for an inside release. Once he takes that inside release though, he knows he has to stack back on top of the corner. If he stays inside, the safety's going to be there to make the play, so he widens, works inside, and then fights hard with his speed to get back on top of the defender and create space for the throw. If there's one small weakness in Ridley's game that he can struggle with, it's physical corners or hand usage when defenders get their hands on him. He can get rerouted at times or struggle to remove the hands of defenders, especially later into routes. Instead of using his hands, he tries to create body lean to get leverage to separate at the top of his route. As a result, he gets washed into the linebacker and thrown off his route. By using this technique, he doesn't use his physical tools to their full potential. In this scenario, he's in a strength fight with that defensive back rather than a race. Calvin Ridley has the route knowledge and physical tools to be a number one receiver on almost any other team. His understanding of how to manipulate defenders is impressive for only a second-year player going into his third season. He has lethal speed that can threaten teams deep, has speed cuts that create separation, and has the mental game to exploit the position of defenders. With Julio on the field, Calvin Ridley can dominate cornerback twos and easily create separation for himself on all types of routes. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands, attacks the ball in the air, and shows everything you'd hope for in a first-round talent. You can buy into the hype of the Saints and the Bucs all you want, but there's a snake creeping along in the NFC South, and if you don't pay attention to the Falcons, they're entirely capable of stealing the division crown. The Falcons are far from a rebuild or a reload. They're ready right now, and Calvin Ridley can put them over the top. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe. It helps us out tremendously. Comment below who you'd like me to analyze next, and make sure to check out our website, weeklyspiral.com, where you can read all our latest content, including a written form of this video with GIFs. You can also find our Patreon and social handles and all that stuff there as well. Until next time, I'm Casey Sully, and I'll see you on the next film breakdown.